Okay, hello everyone. I'm going to talk about my experiences with shooting cinematic VR. So, for a short introduction, as I am a student at the RIT in Brussels, Belgium. I'm a master student television, hopefully graduating in a couple of weeks. And I've done my thesis about storytelling in virtual reality. And this was on two ways. So first we did it theoretically. I worked together with 4 students from the technical studies like image, audio, editing and production management. And when we did our research, then we decided, okay, we can write this down now. And we should make one movie to test everything that we have discovered. So our movie that we made was mainly an apotheosis of everything we had discovered or we wanted to try. So we don't see it as a final product, but more as an experiment to show to a lot of people and then going to ask to our viewers, so what did you thought about that? Did you like that? Could you follow this or that? Because we really wanted to have this information and to go very far in the possibilities of virtual reality. Furthermore, because we saw a lot of interest in this and there were a lot of people asking about us if we wanted to make more. So we started this startup called Soulmate, which is a virtual reality production company. It has a website, soulmate.media. So if anyone of you is interested in our cinematic VR content, you can find everything online. For now it's in Dutch, but we will do English translations. So I'm trying to, I have only 30 minutes, so I will go very quickly about every single step that we've done. I'm not going to talk about high philosophies or something. I'm trying to go really concrete with you, because there are a lot of storytellers in the room, and I wanted to give you as much information as I can, that all the work I've done, you don't have to do over again. The first thing I wanted to do is to go about the narrative we discovered. So I've made this ground rule for myself, which say, okay, you have these 2 checklists. If you want to tell a VR story, and if you do that, then it will be a better story to tell in VR, because that's the question. Do you want to tell a story in VR? Why should you do it? And is it going to be better to do it in VR than just on a 2-dimensional movie? Because what I saw was, I looked online at the 360 videos and there was this guy and he placed the tripod with a tent and then he walked away and he called action and actors were just walking around it. And then they said, oh, we are like Eisenstein, we made this new kind of movie, and I was thinking, no, that's not true. So we were searching, how can we give another quality to this movie? I'm not saying that we succeeded, but I think we at least tried to do something different. So the first rule that we had is, of course, a word that you heard a lot of times, is the immersivity. I think it's not the same as yesterday's talks, which were, by the way, very good talks, and I wanted to thank all the speakers because they inspired me to go further in this. But with immersive, I mean, tell a story that would be interesting to see from that point of view. So, tell a story from a person, and don't lose the tripod is dead, you cannot use it. So tell a story from this character, if you're doing fiction. And then think about, okay, this character, does it have really dramatic relations? If so, then is it the best way to do this in VR? Question mark. Maybe it's interesting to do characters which have these really immersive experiences. Like, I would want to feel a story from a refugee that's somewhere in this really, really problematic and horrible situation. And it's not about his relations with his mother, father, or sister, but it's how he feels to be there and what he sees around. So, sorry, spoiler alert, but at a certain moment, Glenn is with his buddy and they're surrounded by zombies and there's all blood and noise. And then we get this POV of his friend taking him with the shoulder and saying, what do we have to do and what's happening? And I think that would be an interesting POV in VR, because then there is something happening and you don't need all this extra information about what the characters have done with each other, but it's about the experience at the moment. While if you all know the movie La Vita e Bella, there is this moment when the child at the end is hiding in this metal box and his father is walking like this in front of the box, and then we get the POV of this child, and it's in Auschwitz, and the father is making the child think it's a game, and then we get a POV. But that would not be an interesting VR story, because that's about the father and the child and what is happening in the story beneath and the relationship between these two. So for the VR story, make sure that what you're telling and your character from where you tell it has some kind of an experience that you want to feel through, because you cannot have close-ups or a decoupage. So you tell it from this point of view, so that point of view should be an interesting point of view. Then the second principle I call, this is a shot from my movie, this how your suit will look like if you look in the back, is that maybe it's interesting to do more with the 360, more with around you. So what we tried is to put multiple storylines in this one film. So you have this video file, which is exactly the same, but you look 3 times. So 3 times exactly the same movie, but you're going to see other things. So let's say the first time, I'll try to direct you into looking at a certain way. You look for the first minutes in the north, and you go east, and then that goes south. But if you look at the same movie again, and then you start in the west, there, and you turn on another way around, then you're going to see new things. And it would be interesting that what you see changes your perception of the scene, of what is happening, because you see new things, and it gives a new perspective. So it's the way you look around, the way you look at things, that changes your perception. And I thought that that was a very interesting thought in this society, because it's what we do. We as people, we look at things, but we look different, because we have other parts of information, and that changes our perception. So to show very short an example, furthermore, I will tell first what my story is about. We took a story that was not highly complex, but more a story where we could try everything, where we could really do nice things with our characters. So our story is about this guy called Gust, and his brother has gone 1 year ago to this cult of people. I don't know if it's the right word, but the cult, people live far away in the woods in a town where nobody comes in modern times. And his brother has been gone for a year and haven't heard of it, and his wife is pregnant, so he's like, I want to find my brother. I want to know where he is, and he's going in this cult to find him and to ask him to come back home. And we see his experiences. And the nice thing is, I think the interesting thing is, when you watch this movie for the first time, you have the idea, oh, this is a nice group of people. I like them, they're interesting, they're doing a barbecue, they're drinking wine, we're having a great time. But then you look again, and you're going to see new things that's going to change how you look at this group of people. So, I will open a 360 player.
In visum corporis mensum.
So there's a certain moment.
Proost. Het is altijd feest als er iemand bezoldigd is.
Where this woman is drinking wine, and you think, okay, that's nice, a glass of wine in the morning, we can do that. And it feels like an okay situation. But then you're going to look again.
Rustig.
So
Kijk,
she
jongens.
welcomes you, look at her.
Niemand zal je kwaad doen. Alles is oké.
And then this guy is coming. Normally you would follow her. I'm
Yeah.
going to tell more about that later.
Welkom in het paradijs.
And what does he do? He takes this bag of blood from you away. And he walks
In
through this
visum
girl.
corporis mensum.
And as we will see,
In visum corporis.
the girl will bring this glass
Kijk eens om je heen.
to the woman. So what actually happens is that first time you see this woman drinking and you like this moment, but when you're going to look again, you're going to see that actually she's drinking your blood. So this changes how you look at this movie. This changes your perception of these things, which is very interesting, I think, because that's something you cannot do in a movie. In a movie, it's always the same, and you cannot play anymore with that. And in VR, there is a possibility to do so. So even at the ending, when they're doing a barbecue, they're giving you something to eat, and you actually realize that you're eating yourself. We'll go quickly show about that. So you look here down and you see, oh, my legs are cut. And then if she moves a little bit away, then we can, oh no, what is this? It's a feet. So it's not actually your legs that are eaten. So this is something that we try because these two principles gives us a new chance to do something with 360. For screenwriting is of course a little bit more difficult because you first have the green storyline, then the green goes over into blue and actually to yellow, but everything has to be connected at the same time, that everything matches also for the timings. So that's quite a puzzle. How did we do the screenplay? We wrote 3 different columns of text next to each other so that we could see what is happening when, at which moment, and so that we could see which influenced each other. Then also for the directing part, it's important to direct the scene on this way, that you decide as a director what you see when. So we need to make sure that this is not seen by the viewer in the first time. How do we do this? Is by this main character coming really close and placing your hand on the shoulder and saying, hey, welcome in our cult, I hope you have a great day. And he's really speaking to you, and so you're definitely going to miss this. We tried it with 60 persons, and 0 on 60 have seen this, because it's such a short moment. And then, when people finally realize this, they're like, oh no, what? And they're really surprised because they had missed this, they have never seen it. But, so you can direct it, but you have to use everything. And that's what I'm going to talk about in a few minutes. Which techniques do you have to direct your viewer? And so, of course, the screenplay is everything, what your characters does, but there are even more tools to do so. Of course, making is a very simple one, but ground plans of what is happening when are very important. But then there is this one thing that is maybe even more important than just the image, and it's something that people really do not focus on right now, and we think it's really a powerful tool. It's of course the audio. So what we did is we used 360 audio. Because when you're looking at something and something from the right is a very sharp and loud noise, as viewer, you're directly drawn towards this. So in this way, you as a director get another tool to make your viewer look at certain things. So we made spatial audio. What did we do? We recorded every audio source separately, so that we had this mix of 10 different audio objects, which we imported into Unity and gave them a direction. And every time a character moves, this audio source moves with it. It's called spatial audio. It's the difference between binaural. I have a quick demo to show how this will work in Unity. Let's see here. So, you see, as he is moving, this audio source is moving with him to another point. And this, from the first woman, stays here. So it doesn't matter when you look or where, but the audio sources are linked to the characters, so as they will move, the audio sources will move. This is something that has not been done a lot, but it really gives your content a new dimension, because now it feels really immersive. So, and even at the end, you will get a lot of audio sources at the same time. So as you can see here, there's a lot of movement. But we can even go further in this. Because, as I said before, there were more layers, so more storylines to tell. So we at the ID, why don't we give our film this kind of artificial intelligence? What I mean by that is that our film always knows where you are watching, at which time, and what you have already watched. And we made this with some kind of story point system. So, let's say, if you look in this time over here to object 5, which is the woman, then storyline 1 will get 3 points. This is the same for object 6 within this, or object 7 within the same time as object 5. So at each time, Unity will calculate in which storyline you are, which moments you are seeing, to anticipate on that, because this sounds very mathematically, but you can do really creative things. If I'm in this situation and we have left and right 2 dialogues, and I want this to be first storyline and this to be second, when I'm in the second storyline as a viewer, and I'm still looking at this one couple, Unity is going to make this audio from this second duo louder and making it draw your attention away. So it has always the control of what the viewer is watching, and it can anticipate on that, so that we can direct it more. So we can really start playing with this audio because it's interactive. And these are small steps that we make, which make VR different from the movie that we know now, because these things are not, or almost not possible in a 2D movie, and they would not even make it better. But in VR, they do, I think so. So our audio changes if we watch different storylines and tries to put us back to the right storyline. And if we watch everything together, it's a big puzzle, then we get the story. So it's actually, our story is a linear story, and we cut it into pieces and then we place them above each other. Because people say VR is very short, isn't it? Because it's 10 minutes or so, my film is 10 minutes. But you have to think, these 10 minutes are way more rich. They have way more content than normal 10 minutes. So it's actually 30 or 40 minutes of content in 10 minutes together. And we went even further in that, and we were thinking like games. Because how does our viewer know that it has ended, that he has seen every storyline? Why would he continue to see so? So we made an intro and outro sequence just into the. So first for the intro is, you see this guy, and he's telling, oh, my brother's gone away, and his wife is pregnant, and he's like, I want to go to school and find him because I love him, he's my brother. And that's interesting because you see the character you will become. You see his face, you get his purpose, you get who he is. So that makes it easier for you to go in him. We try to introduce this with the right shots. So we see this decoupage, and before he goes in the sect, at the end, the last shot is this shot where there's a bag around your head. And then in the 360, this bag gets pulled off. So you get really the introduction of, okay, this is my character, this is what he wants, this is how he is, and then you go in him. Which really works nice, or we will hear different from our viewers. So why do I tell this? Because we have also an outro. So Unity will know, okay, now my viewer has every different part, he has watched the storylines, and then he will give the last sequence where we will watch the real ending. So it's like film, theater, and game together. You complete the 3 storyline levels, and then you get your present at the end. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
How big is that 2D thing in the filming glasses? Is it small? Is it big?
It's for a Gear VR. It's like it just fills your image. So it's a full HD on 60% scaling.
16 by 9?
16 by 9 full HD on 60%. So because I don't have a lot of time anymore, I'm going to quickly skip this, the more narrative theory, but go on the real shooting. So you have already seen our suit, so I can go more quickly on it. We thought, okay, we have to make POV, we have to do movement, because the static VR is just boring as hell. So we use this F360 Explorer with GoPros. They're good, but they're not great. We had a lot of stitching errors, but we thought, okay, let's focus, we're filmmakers, on creativity, on content story, and Nokia, Samsung, and Google will find a way to do it without stitching. So we did it, but think of the camera as a person. Let the lenses are the eyes of the characters, so let your other characters play in it, let they interact with it. Search for a very short cameraman. We had to Google short cameraman, because otherwise you have this, it's Roald Dahl, the big giant, this movie, that could work, but not here. So this is a person we need, and then there are people saying how it's difficult to live preview in 360, which is true. But you can easily solve that by, this is a Theta S, you place it on the mount, and the Theta S can live stream to your smartphone, and then you can follow in 360 what you are shooting. So she's here eating out of the brains of the viewer, which is fun. And yes, so she's playing in one of the lenses. For lighting, of course, you can't use real lights unless you're doing it static. But for dynamic VR, you need to work with practical lights. So our DOP tried to see what kind of watts from the lamps or from the lights would be good for your VR, and she filled it all around. And then you can still do some lighting and do some styling. Of course, you have to do a lot in grading. So GoPros are not very good cameras, their output is not that good for grading, so you have to be okay with that, but you can still do a lot. Then production management is also not very easy. Nobody can be on set, so we can live stream from the Theta. We also made a GoPro film the entire set so that I could follow what the actors in the choreography were doing, and we had this audio output directly from our microphones. It's a plan séquences always, so it's not very easy to time this. This can go really quick or really slow, but remind that it's a choreography. When you're doing everything over there, your viewer can still decide to look over there. So your characters should live always. They should not be actors. They should be really persons doing something and doing something always that they would do as a character. So as a director, you need to keep that in mind. Scenery also very important, and it takes also a lot of time. You cannot use lenses, so you have to really try to make this nice scenery. You need to weigh with the decorations and everything, and this takes time. I heard yesterday something about architecture. That's really true. You can make your room on this way that you, as viewer, get pointed at this point. But again, this has to be prepared in pre-production and also takes a lot of time. And then the post-production workflow, just quickly, I'm going to ask you a question. How many render hours do you think we had on an iMac with a strong graphics NVIDIA card for 4 gigabytes of VRAM? So someone raise his hand or shout. 4,000 is a little bit hard. Render hours for a movie of 10 minutes in H.264, of course, GoPro files.
100.
A little bit more. It's actually 126. So maybe for professionals this can look not so many, but for us it's like 5 days. The computer has to be running and you can't touch it or it explodes. So it's a lot, yeah. My editor could go to Paris or something in those days. We don't talk anymore. So last things about post-production workflow. Of course, important file management. You have 6 cameras. These files need to be glued together. If one take and second take has been mixed up, you will get sync problems. But you don't know that it's the wrong take, so you can lose hours and hours of finding the right take. So important. Stitching. Well, it's the question how much the viewer cares about stitching, because we can make these perfect images, but I know a lot of people who don't even see the difference between SD and HD. So it's important, but on another way it's not very important. I use Autopano Video, which I recommend. I think it's way better than Video Stitch for the ones who might be interesting. These output files go to your editing software, which can be Premiere, Final Cut, Avid. It's in a Cineform MOV file. The interesting thing is that Adobe is working on a VR workflow, so you will even be able to change your panoramic view in Premiere in a few months or so. So that's nice to work with Adobe because they're integrating that. Grading, very important. Maybe I have some example from a problem with grading. I hope I have it here. Yes, it's here. So as you can see, this is a line, and it's not a stitching line. But what is it? You have a left side and a right side, and if they're not graded at the same, in the circle they come together, and you will get this. So a tip for someone who is grading, make an overall workflow you're grading. Don't touch your left or right side. They have to be exactly the same, or you will get this. And that will cut your viewer loss from the story. But for the rest, grading is actually just very important because you don't have lighting, so you can do a lot of style and mooding over there. The exports need to think in smartphone content, so there are low export files that don't have too many bit rates. We use the H.264 codec, which GearVR is also working with H.265 for the moment, I think. And then interesting, yes, Unity, it's the way to go, I think, for interactive VR content, because the step to Unity is very easy. It has over 1 billion apps around the world, and it has a full VR workflow, so you can make your own player and then go play with it. Let the audio be 360, let it interact with the movie, let it show things, let it change the video file, let it stop earlier if you haven't seen enough. You can do everything with that, and it's very easy to learn. It's programmed in JavaScript or C# regarding what you like the most. But don't underestimate this post-production workflow because it's very heavy. I think tomorrow, for the people who are there, we will do some demo scenes. The movie will be finished in 2 weeks, but I think I can show some of the scenes. It will, if someone is interested, you can can come tomorrow, you can always come to me afterwards, and then I will let you see something. So we have 5 scenes. This is also nice, and you can work with these visual effects, and it's like someone has thrown some blood over you here, and then they come and they're very angry. You can go underwater in this movie. And here you crawl under this table, which gives nice effects because then there are people coming here and they can see you, and you're hiding somewhere. So this gets, I think, more dynamic content. At the end, you can even here drink. And then you really like this, but oh no, it's poisoned. I'm going to faint. Oh. And well, you fainted. And even at the end, I'm going to spoil it, but your filmmakers, you're used to that. They cut your head off, they put it on the table, and you get eaten. So, okay, that was it for my presentation, and I hope to see you all after it, and we can discuss things. So, thank you.